Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Okay. So, apologies for um, apologies for the last class that didn't hold. I got a bit too busy and couldn't meet up. Right. So I apologize for that. So, welcome to class today. Right. So, without wasting much of our time, I'm going to get right to it. Right. And we'll get on with the business of the day. So if you can hear me, you can let me know in the comment section, right? So and I'm about to share my screen right now. So yeah, okay, okay, all right. Okay, good evening, everybody. Once again, welcome to class, right? So today we're going to be learning about actually today's class is going to be a bit longer than usual, right? Possibly be a bit longer than usual, right? Because we have a lot to cover today so that we can be able to, work on our projects for this cohort, right? So what we'll be learning today is we're going to be learning about visual design, and we're also going to be learning about creating high fidelity design. So I really hoped everyone was in class because we stopped where we stopped last time was at I think crazy eights, right? So I wasn't able to show us how to, like, after your sketch, how do you actually make your design decisions, right? I would actually love to discuss that in class today, right? But let me see. And yeah, with regards to that as well, many of us didn't submit our sketches, right? Just one person and me. Okay, we have four people in class. Hi, everybody. If you can hear me, you can leave a comment. If you can hear me, please leave a comment. Right. Hi, Markleta. Good evening. Welcome to class today. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll just get right to the business of today and wait to see if more people join the class, right? And maybe I can go over, making use of your crazy eight. So let me just quickly just get right to the business of today. Okay. So, yeah. So one of the principles of visual design, which we'll be looking at today, is color psychology, right? So we want to understand the psychology behind colors. How do you actually use colors, right? and what do colors mean? What do they stand for? What are the emotions like um, that's that are associated with colors, right? So that's what we are going to be looking at today. So we're talking about color psychology. So color psychology, we're looking at definition, right? Color psychology in UX design involves understanding how different colors impact human emotions, behaviors, perceptions to create more effective user-friendly digital products, right? So apart from digital products in our everyday life, you can see that colors play a very important role in our everyday life. Say for example, you even the traffic lights, you can see the green light, which means go, the red light means you should stop, right? So even in digital spaces, right? So those colors also play an important role, right, in digital products, in telling users what to do, impacting users' emotions. Even speaking of brands, the type of color you choose for your brand also has an impact um, on the users, right? So, so we look at these colors and what they actually stand for, right? So we have the positive and the negative. So we have red, which means action, strength, passion, right? It could also mean aggression, danger, and financial loss. You can see that in graphs, right? You can see danger in, like your stop or maybe a, wet floor kind of thing, kind of sign, any sign that actually depicts danger. When you see red, you're like, immediately you just see red in a sign, you know that there is problem already before you even start reading the text. Even in digital space, even you see red, you're like, what's the problem? You will now start trying to understand the problem through the text that will be shown to know, describe that um, problem. So you speak of aggression as well, right? You can even see in cartoons, right? When they get angry, you see that their head turns red, you know, even in comic books and stuff like that. You can see that red stands for anger, right? Aggression, right? So apart from that, it also stands for action, strength, passion. You can see Valentine's Day, people wearing red, Lovers Day, people wearing red, stuff like that. So we also talk of blue, right? We also talk about blue. It means stability, trust, and loyalty, right? You can see that in which brand would I actually use, right? Basically, that's what blue stands for. I'm trying to think of a brand. None can come to mind right now, but this is the positive side of blue, right? You can also look at the negative side. It could be cold, could be boring, could be conventional, right? So we also look at green, right? It's natural, energetic, and wealth, right? So natural, energetic. You can see, I think food products, right? Yeah, most of them have use green in their branding and stuff like that. And also, which other, biological things, basically biological brands, things that are related to nature, right? Most of them use green, um, right? So we can also look at yellow, right? Is optimistic, warm, eye-catching, you know. We also look at orange is vibrant, creative, and healthy, right? The purple stands for luxurious, mysterious, and unique. One that is omitted here is also black. Black could actually stand for, luxury, right? Sophistication, things like that, right? So, so we look at the look at color psychology in UX design, like how does it actually impact design, right? What are the effects of color psychology on UX design? So we have the emotional impacts. Colors can evoke specific emotions. For example, warm colors like red and orange, they may create a sense of urgency or excitement. You can see, okay, let me just complete that and I'll give us an example. While cool colors like blue and green may evoke calmness and trust, right? So designers use this knowledge to align the emotional tone of a design with the goals of the product or brand. So you can see, let me give you an example. Let me say there is something or a product. I don't know. You can just imagine any product that is time bound, right? Let me say you have to use the products for like, or let me say you're running out of time, right? Using that product. Maybe they have a time frame for using their product and you're already running out of time. You have like 10 minutes more. So maybe when you get to 10 minutes, you can see that it turns yellow, right? It's telling you that something is about to happen, something is going wrong. When it's still maybe at the beginning stage, you can see that it's green. But when it's getting to the danger zone, right? It's close to the danger zone, right? Maybe your time is about to elapse, right? You can see that it turns yellow, right? The alarm, yeah, the clock could turn yellow, telling you that you're running out of time. You have like 10 minutes more to actually, finish this test, for example, right? It could turn yellow, right? Giving you a sense of urgency, like I need to hurry up. Then before you know it, after that time, maybe 5 minutes left or a few seconds left, it turns red, telling you that you need to leave now. This is the danger zone. This is the danger period. I don't know if you understand. So those are colors in play, right? Those are colors in play. So we also have cultural considerations. So cultural backgrounds play a significant role in how people perceive colors, right? Different cultures associate colors with diverse meanings and symbolism. For instance, in Western cultures, white is often associated with purity. They can say in some areas white is associated with purity, right? While in some Eastern cultures, it may symbolize mourning, right? So you must also consider cultural context of your audience when you are designing, right? So we have the brand identity. So colors are crucial for establishing and reinforcing brand identity. Consistent use of brand colors across digital interface helps users recognize it and remember the brand, right? So that's to say that when designing, you have to actually incorporate the brand colors into your design. So the brand color will not be yellow and you are using green, right? Unless even if you have to use green, that's if it's part of your color palette, right? Or if you have to use green, it has to be lighter. The yellow has to actually stand out. It has to be more of yellow because that is the brand color, right? So you have to actually infuse the brand color within your design when you're actually designing a digital product for any brand. So that's what that is trying to say. So readability and accessibility. So color choices also impact the readability and accessibility of a design. Okay, at this point, I'll just check if you guys are following. Just check the comments. Okay. All right. So I'll just proceed at this point. So readability and accessibility. So color choices impact the readability and accessibility of a design, right? High contrast between text and background colors enhances readability, especially for users with visual impairments. So these are also things you have to put into consideration. So you also have the call to action using bright colors, right, for your call to action, right, so that it draws users' attention, right? Information hierarchy. You can use colors to actually create hierarchy on your information. The For example, the title text could be, the text you want users to have, you want to draw users' attention to could be darker, and then you have a gray color for information you don't really want much attention on, right? Creating that hierarchy using colors, right? So visual consistency as well, right? So you also have to consistently use same colors within your color palette to actually in your product, right? So that means it's not that you've created a color palette or you've chosen colors that you want to use and you begin using random colors. You use green, you use red. One button is red, one button is green, one is yellow, the other one is blue, the other one is purple, the other one black. Like you're just using random colors. That's a very very that's not a good design practice. So you have to make sure that you maintain consistency with the colors and all on your product, right? Okay, excuse me. So mood and atmosphere. The color palette of a design can contribute to the overall mood and atmosphere of an interface, right? For example, a travel app might use vibrant and energetic colors to evoke a sense of excitement, while a meditation app may offer a calming and soothing color. right? So that's that for color psychology, right? So we talk about the color contrast, right? So what exactly is color contrast? Right? Color contrast refers to the difference in color between text and its background, right? So I've been talking about color contrast before now. So we're just looking at what exactly it means, right? So it's basically the difference in color between a text and its background, right? And the background, it actually helps to improve readability, right? It's also an accessibility, it's also part of accessibility, ensuring accessibility within your product, right? So making sure that your texts are readable, good, having good contrast on your text is also an essential part um, design. So, um, okay, we proceed. So, excuse me, give me a second. Let me take some water. So, yeah, we've looked at the meaning of color contrast, right? So, however, when we are designing now, how do we even know that our product or our platform actually has good color contrast, right? So you can use tools, which we are also going to explore in today's class, right? But however, before we even get to the tools, right, there are, how am I going to put it? There are recommendations, right? There are contrast recommendations, right? So we'll take a look at it here. So how do we actually ensure good contrast on our product? So we have to use tools and guidelines that assess contrast ratio between text and background colors. This ensures readability and compliance with accessibility standards, such as those provided by the World Wide Web Consortium, right, which is W3C, right? In the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, they recommended a minimum contrast, right? There's a recommendation that the WCAG has, put in place as the recommended contrast ratio between the text and its background, right? So we look at that here. We have that as for normal size text, right? We have a contrast ratio of 4.5 is to 1, which is the recommended. Being 4.5 is the color of the luminance, right, of the text itself, and then 1 is for the background, right? So for letter text, also we have that as 3 is to 1. That's the recommended one. So we'll look at the tools, right? I mentioned some tools here. We have web, okay. So we have when Web Aims contrast checker. We also have Culos. Right, so we'll just look at these two. Although I listed four here, we have contrast ratio, we have colorable, right? So you can check out the rest of the two on your own, but we'll just look at Culos and Web Aims contrast checker. So I'll share my screen and we'll look at how to use the both of them now. Okay, right. Yes, please. I'll share. I'll share. I'll definitely make sure I share this slide. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm about to share my screen so we can actually explore how to use, um, the contrast checker tools I just mentioned, right? Okay. Uh, Okay, so we'll look at web aim first of all before we go to coolers. Share screen. Okay, yeah. So this is cooler. This is not coolers. This is web aim. So this is the contrast ratio, right? It just helps you to calculate the contrast ratio of a particular product. So I'm going to use my color picker, right? I'm going to find a random website. If you have anyone in mind, you can actually tell me in the comments, and I'll go pick their color and check their accessibility, right? So I'm just going to get a random website now, and I would, the foreground is the text itself, right? The content that is on top. Then you have the background color, right? Which is basically the background. I don't know another word that I could use to, explain that, but I think it's already self-explanatory. So we have the foreground, we have the background. This foreground could be your text color, right? Then we have your background. It could also be another color. Maybe it could be your button that is sitting on a background, right? This could also be your text. Okay, how do I explain this now? So this foreground could be your text within your button. Yeah, it could be your text that is within your button, because obviously your text is not going to have same color as your button, right? Right. So this could be your text, right? And this could be your button color, right? You can check the contrast between the text and the button to know if the contrast is actually okay, right? And then you can actually proceed with that. Also, you can check the button against the background to know if your button actually stands out from your background. Maybe you're using a sky blue colored button, right? It wouldn't really work very well on a white background. Anyway, it depends on the shade of sky blue, but I'm speaking of a very, very light um, shade of very, very light shade of light blue. It wouldn't really work well on a white background. It would be almost to be very difficult to see. So I'm just going to pick some colors with my color picker, right? I'll just use. No, I don't want to pick a color on this website. I don't want to pick a color on this website. Or should I? Let me use I shall pick a color here though. Okay, let me just pick a color on their own website. I'll pick between this green and the white, right? So let me get my color picker, get that. Then I'll pick their green color. I'll pick their green color. I'll copy that, right? And I'll paste it here. I'll check it against their white color, right? So you can see that it's 4.6 is to 1. So it actually passed, right, their color tests, right? For small text, right? And then for large text as well. So that's basically how to check that. And I'll go ahead and use I'll share my screen again for us to check out Coolors. So Coolors is a platform that you can use to actually create color palettes, right? You can use Coolors to create color palettes, and you can also use Coolors to, check let me share my screen. You can also use Coolors to, check for color contrast, right? Okay, so this is Coolors website, right? Coolors.co. So, like I said earlier, you can use it to create color palettes like this, and you can also use it to, create or check color contrast, right? So let me start the generator. So you just start the generator here. Okay, so this is Coolors, right? Let me paste that color that I copied earlier. Let me just paste it here. So this is the color I picked from WebM's website, right? So What I if I want to find complementing colors, right? I'll just click the space bar on my laptop, right? Sorry, that's not it. Okay. So to that's a mistake. So to check different color palettes available, right? To check different color palettes available on Kulos, right? So these are color palettes, so I can use these suggested colors to create my digital product, or to design a product, right? So I'll just hit this space bar to actually switch between them to find more colors until I find something that is actually pleasing to me, right? I find something that is pleasing to me, right? So I'll just assume that I like, which one do I even like? I don't know. So let me just assume that I like this, right? So, but okay, let me just assume that I like this, all right? This color palette, but I possibly do not like all of them. I can say, okay, I like just this one. I'm just assuming, right? Assuming I like only this, I can lock it up, right? So once I click this, I lock it. So when I click this space bar, all the other colors change except this one. So all these other colors still complement this one. They can still work with this one, right? I can use them with this particular color in my design, right? So I can do this, keep changing until I find something. So if I still say, okay, I like this one, I can still lock it and continue, right? Then if I want to, introduce my own color within this place, I can paste that color I copied earlier here, right? I'm not saying all these colors work well together. I'm just giving us an example, right? And then I can lock it and continue, switching, right? Once I see this, I say that, okay, wow. So these colors, I like them together, right? I can simply, copy, right? I can copy from here, right? I can also copy color from here. Sorry. I can copy from here. When I copy it, I can then go to Figma and use it to create my um, color styles, right? And name them accordingly. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, so let's look at the color generator. Sorry, not the color generator. I mean, what's that again? The ratio, sorry, color contrast checker, right? Where is it? Okay, so let's check the demo, right? Do I even use it again? I think I've forgotten how to actually use this particular tool for color checking. I'll figure it out, and I would actually show us how to use it. Right. But however, you can use this to actually, check color contrast, right? You can use this tool for that. Okay, so let's move to something else. Okay. Okay, let's continue with our slides. I think I've explained that. Okay. Hi, good evening, Lawan Messi. Welcome to class. So I'll just continue sharing my screen. So we have, yeah, we're done with this. So when you get this, you can actually go check out the other ones. Right. So we now talk about typography. So typography is the art of arranging type to make language visible, right? So it's basically about you selecting is basically it's basically about type. Like type, I mean text, right? Selecting your text, the text that you use, and text also, just like colors, right? They also have meanings. They have emotions attached to them, right? So selecting your font or your type for your product, right, it also impacts the the how the brand or how the product is perceived, right? So for luxurious so for yeah, basically that's it. We'll just get right into the explanation of every other thing, nitty gritty of everything. So yeah. So we have the categories of typography, right? You have the serif and you have the sans serif, right? So we have serif. So serif fonts have small decorative lines or strokes at the ends of characters, right? I believe we've actually seen this before. There are so many. Okay, I don't have a serif font here. So these lines are known as serifs. Example of serif fonts include Time New Romance, Georgia, and Garamond, right? So we have the sans serif. Sans serif fonts, on the other hand, lack these decorative lines. The term sans in French for without, right? Sans serif fonts are characterized by clean and straightforward designs without the extra embellishments. Example of sans serif fonts include Arial, Helvetica, Calibri. So this Roboto, right, is also, I use Roboto for this text, right? So this is also an example of a sans serif font because it doesn't have the serif, right? The serif is you know, there's this pointy line at the end of some texts, right? So that is what a serif is, right? So fonts without them are actually considered as sans serif, while fonts with them are considered as serif fonts. I don't know if you guys do you guys understand? If not, I could actually go into Figma and show us. Let me just check the comments. Do you guys understand what I mean? Like the explanation I made around sans serif and serif fonts. Okay, for the last class. All right. Anoye. All right, I'll make sure that I send them today after today's class. I apologize for that. I think it skipped my mind. I apologize. I'll send both of them after today's class. Okay. Okay, Opeyemi understands. All right. Okay, we can proceed then. Okay, so so we are trying to look at fonts and typefaces, right? So a font, um most times fonts and typefaces are used interchangeably, but basically they are not, the same thing, right? They are actually they are actually different. I wouldn't say very, very though, but they are actually different, right? So we'll just look at what they are. So a font refers to a specific style and size of a typeface, right? I'll take that again. A font refers to a specific style and size of a typeface, right? Is a single complete set of characters with a particular design and weight. So simply put, font refers to a particular weight, width, and style within a typeface, right? Um, so to put it in simple terms, um, each font, right? A font is a variation of a typeface. I don't know if that if that makes sense. Okay, so we have your typefaces, right? So the font is actually the difference. It's actually a it's actually a how do I explain it? A Okay, so within your typefaces, right, you have your fonts, right? So those fonts are like characterized by a certain weight, height. They have their own characteristics. So an example is Roboto Regular, Roboto Bold, Roboto Thin, right? So for these fonts here now, um I used Poppins, right? So Poppins is a typeface. So Poppins regular, that's what I used to write this, right? I use Poppins regular here, and then I use Poppins medium here. That's what I mean by that's what font is, right? Not like Poppins is a font. So Poppins is a typeface. Then Poppins regular, Poppins medium, because um it's characterized by they have their own separate characteristics like the weight, the size, you know, stuff like that, right? So that's what a font is. So and the typeface um is the name of a specific collection of related fonts. So when you have your Roboto Thin, Roboto Regular, Roboto Bold, all of them come together to make up a a typeface. So typeface is a broader term that encompasses the entire design of a set of characters, including all styles and variation. It refers to the overall look and feel of the characters, right? I hope I was able to explain that. Let me just check in the comments because this is a bit confusing though. I just hope you understand. So guys, you understand what I mean? Do you understand the explanation? If you don't, I could actually go over it again. It could be a bit confusing sometimes, but just understand that the font the is basically the set of characters with similar characteristics, right? Let me put it that way. And it's a variation of a typeface, right? So, like for example, you have your Roboto regular, Roboto bold, Roboto thin, right? You can have your Poppins thin, Poppins regular, Poppins bold, things like that. Okay, and then you can have your typeface to be Roboto. You can have your typeface to be Enter. You can have your typeface to be Puppets, right? So here, yeah, okay. So I'll just proceed to the next thing on my slide, which is accessibility. But before I go ahead, let me see if you guys are following. Okay, yes, I understand. Right, great. Thanks, Ubak and Chidima and Opeyemi as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so we look at accessibility. So accessibility refers to the practice of creating digital products that are usable and inclusive for all individuals, regardless of their abilities and disabilities. This is a very, very important thing in UI UX design, and that's why I keep on, repeating it so that it actually sinks in, right? So when you're creating your designs, you have to also accommodate different people from different backgrounds, regardless of their technical know-how, their their you know disabilities, right? Whether they have color blindness, that is where your contrast comes in, right? You have to maintain a very good contrast. You have to use the tools that I just showed us today, check your contrast if they're actually okay for use, right? So that these people with color blindness can actually be able to use your product, right? So do they have a certain type of disability with any part of their body, you know um there are so many types of disabilities, right? So you have to ensure that everyone is actually you know try as much as possible to accommodate different types of users. So some accessibility features that you could have in your design, like I already mentioned, you can work on your contrast, right? Make sure that the contrast is actually good, based on the recommended standards, right? You have to make sure that your images have alt text, your media they have alt text so that they can be read by screen readers, right? you know Another accessibility feature is um another I'm giving us examples of accessibility features, right? Another thing you can consider as an accessibility feature is even the subscriptions on your Netflix. No, subtitles, sorry, not subscriptions, subtitles on your Netflix or even YouTube, right? You have those subtitles for you to read in case you can't, hear what the person is going on in the video, right? You can actually read, So you have your subtitles, right? That can pass. That's an accessibility feature. Even having language feature on a product is also an accessibility feature. Imagine you're designing an application and you're in China or you're in India where some countries that English is not their their main language, right? So you have to actually accommodate for visitors that don't really understand their language. Imagine you are in that kind of city and you want to order food and you want to translate it into English, right? So you have to Hi everybody, sorry about that. I think it's my network, right? So I lost internet connection for a while. I'm sorry about that. So where was I? I'll just go back to sharing my screen. So okay, I was saying I was trying to give us examples of some accessibility features, right? I already mentioned your subtitles on Netflix, on YouTube, right? Those are accessibility features, and then I also mentioned you can also um, imagine you are in a city, right? I also mentioned a language feature, right, within a digital product that could also pass as an accessibility feature because it actually helps people who do not speak a certain language to be able to use that language. Imagine you are in a foreign city where they don't speak English, right, and you want to order food. The apps are in different language, right? Because basically that's the local language they speak around there, and that's what everybody speaks, right? So you design the product, and it's basically only their local language. You won't be able to order the food, right? So that would, if assuming there is a language feature within such an application, you'll be able to change to English and understand what is on the platform and be able to use it. Or imagine maybe someone who doesn't speak English is moves to somewhere that English is basically their basic language, and the person might find it difficult to use the digital products until they're able to learn English language, right? So in that could also pass as an accessibility feature. So even your placement of your buttons, and how the animations on your digital product works. You have to make it easy enough for people with disability to be able to use the product, right? Accommodating these people would actually help make your products be usable by a wider audience, right? By a wider audience, and also make it easy for the audience, the people without disabilities to actually be able to use your digital product, right? So I think that explains that. So we have the benefits of accessibility. So it actually brings about inclusive design, right? It also brings equal access to information. People can different people with different from different backgrounds can be able to use your products, right? So you have, for example, you even have the billion, I think it's billion users they call them, right? People who are just getting to use the digital, you getting to use digital products for the first time. If you have ambiguous words in your digital product, they wouldn't be able to use it, right? They'll be finding it difficult to actually navigate through your product because you are speaking big grammar, like they cannot even understand. You're just using ambiguous words, right? Making it difficult for them to use your product. So enhances user experience. It expands your audience reach, just like I mentioned earlier, right? So that's that about accessibility. So we are going to be looking at um, design systems, right? So, what exactly are design systems? So, design systems are comprehensive sets of guidelines, components, and tools that work together to ensure consistency and coherence in UI UX design. So, they serve as a central reference point for designers, developers, and other stakeholders, streamlining the design and development process. Excuse me. So design system encompass a range of elements from colors, typography to user interface components and interaction patterns. So some examples of design systems, right, that exist are Google Material Design. We have Shopify design system. I think they call it Polaris. I think that's what it's called, Polaris, right? So we also have Apple's design system, right? You can also find that on their website and so many other design systems, right? So I'm going to take us through some of the design systems right now, and yeah, okay, I'll just take us through some of them. Give me a second. Let me just look that up. Okay, okay, so this is Google Material Design, right? This is their Google's design system, which you can also utilize, to actually create your own designs within, create your own designs, right? So they actually make your work, faster um, and you are going to be using standard, um, what's the best word I'm going to use to explain what I want to explain. So you're just going to be using you know best practices, right, in your design. So that's what the design system helps you to do, makes your work faster and helps make sure that you're using you know the standard industry standards, right? So going through, after this course, it's actually a good thing if you can take your time, read through the Google material design. It will actually educate you more, right? There's a whole lot of information available here, right? There's a whole lot of information available right here that you can actually that would help you as a UI UX designer and help you stand out, because it's not everywhere that actually understands these things, right? So also, yeah, basically just search material design, Google material design on Google, and you should be able to access this. So you look at the styles, right? They also provide guidelines on how to use these styles, right? Elevation. So let's look at elevation. Elevation is shadows, right? They provide you guides on how to use um shadows, and also provide you shadows that you can use, right? So it is a good thing if you can go through this, read through it, understand it. It will actually improve your design. So they also have the design system available in Figma that you can actually make a copy, right? So all you have to do, I think I already have it, right? So all you have to do is just come here, go to Figma, right? Or even right from their website here. That's where I did it from, right? That's where I just opened it from, right? I think it's here. Yeah, Figma Design Kit. right? Just click on it and it opens to the next, it opens a new tab, right? Okay, let me just stop sharing here and share the Figma version of it. So let me just do that quickly. Okay, so this is the Figma design kit in Figma, right? So when you just click the card I just showed you earlier, right, it takes you here and you can preview what they have. You can see the styles, right? The typography, the color, the elevation. I think these are other elements, right? Breakout points, right, for responsiveness, right? So you have all these things available to you for you to utilize in your work, which will make it faster for you, right? So these are other components like buttons, icons, and so many things, right? So just go ahead, go to Figma, duplicate this. Just click open in Figma. I already have it. I wouldn't want to do that again. So just open in Figma and it's already duplicated to your Figma file, to your Figma account, right? And you can have it there to use. So we'll just proceed. I think I've shown us that and you can access that. So other ones I mentioned like the Apple, I think Apple also has, it's not I think, I'm sure Apple also has Figma, you know, also has their design system available in Figma community. So just go ahead, search for it and utilize it. Also, you can go to their website to go and read about their design system, right? How they design. So you can, learn more and educate yourself more on how to use them and how to apply them also in your own design. So you are making standard, designs. So I think that's that for that. Let me go back to my slides and we can talk about how to create our own and stuff like that from there. Okay, so that's that about design system. So Google Material Design and Shopify Design System, and they also have the Apple Design System and so many other design systems. So just go to Figma community. You can search for design systems. But I've mentioned the most popular and you know yeah design systems, right? So we also talk about responsiveness in UI UX design. We're actually going to go and look at these things and try to create some of them, right, for ourselves in the, yeah, we're going to actually, practicalize these things, right? So we have responsiveness, right? So what exactly is responsiveness in UX design? So it is the ability of a digital interface or application to adapt and provide an optimal user experience across a variety of design across a variety of devices and screen sizes, right? So when you use a desktop, right, it should have a good experience. And when you also open the same website on a mobile device, you should also have a good experience, right? It's not that when you open it on your desktop, then it looks good, possibly. Then when you go to the mobile view, it's scattered, right? When you open it on desktop, it's different. It could be different in a way, right? But based on layout, basically. But it should maintain a good user experience, right? You should actually be able to use that same platform on your desktops, your laptops, your tablets, or any other device that you are using, right? So you have to be able to design for different screen sizes as a UI UX designer. So that's basically the last thing we'll talk about today. So every other thing will be happening in Figma, right? Okay. So I think that's all for our presentation. So we'll just move over to Figma and try to actually, you know, um, look at design systems, right? And also um, try to create one. And we'll also be looking at responsiveness, right? I'll show us how to, do that. And we'll also try to for our project on this course, we'll be designing a mobile application, right? Not a web platform, right? So we're also going to be I'm going to show us how to translate the wireframe we created last time to a high fidelity, design. Right. So let's just move right to it. Okay. Right, guys. So let's just look at Figma and try to create something today, right? Okay. So I'll just start from where we stopped last time, right? And let me bring in. Give me a second. Okay. All right. I'm sorry about the delay, right? I'm really sorry about that. Let me just quickly share my screen. I'm just trying to put some things in place for us. Okay, so speaking of where we left off last time, so we'll start from there and then we'll progress to the high fidelity side of things, right? Okay, good. So we have some people who dropped um, their sketches, which I really appreciate you guys for that. Joy Albert, thank you so much. Right, this is mine, and I don't know who this person is, but I think I saw the person's name on Figma as Zite or Zite. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Right. So I also appreciate you for actually, dropping your own screen. Right. Thank you so much. So now we'll go over how to actually utilize the screens, right? How now you've ideated, you've made your sketches on paper, right? How do you actually choose the features? Let me see if I'm actually not muted or let's see if I'm okay. I'm audible. All right, Immaculate Chidinma, that's fine. Just try to, if you haven't submitted your assignment because they'll be graded very soon, just try to do that. Okay, right. So I'll just go back to my screen. So now we have Okay, so I was saying, assuming you have these sketches on paper, right? Which we have them on paper. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick up your pen, right? And you're going to look at your sketches and check what and what you want to actually, what parts of this of your sketch, right? Do you want to have how am I going to explain? What parts of your sketch do you want to have in your design, right? Okay, so we can say you want to have this section, right? Then you can pick your, like I said, I'm imagining this is a paper, so you have to do this on paper, right? So you just pick up your pencil or your pen. So here I'm just going to pick this pen, and I'm going to mark this, right? I can mark this that I want to use this. Okay, I can mark this. I want to use it. I don't want it white. I want black. Excuse me. Okay, so I can mark this section. Yeah, I would say, okay, I want to have a banner like this, right? That's one thing I could say. And I would say, okay, apart from this banner, I also want to have uh okay, so I'll just go ahead and pick from someone else's design as well, right? So let me look at this person's design. This looks nice, right? I could say, okay, I want to um let me look for what to pick from here. Okay, so this person went an extra mile to create the cat screen, right? So I could say I like this cat screen and I want to pick this part of the cat screen, right? I could say, okay, yeah. And then I could say, okay, I also want to make, I don't know if this is a circle or a rectangle. Is it a square? I don't know. Joy about if you're on call, you can let me know if I don't understand what if you're trying to draw a circle, but it looks like one though. So I could say, okay, I want to have this circle that Joy Alpath drew, right? I could want to have that. And then also for the bottom navigation bar, these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 icons. A bit too much, but not bad. But when you're working on it, just try not to exceed 5, right? It becomes too much. Somewhere around 4 or 5 is actually a safe space to be, right? So I could say I could decide to go this route, right? Then I've marked like subsections that I want to pick from my ideation, right? Then I can move here, right? I could say, okay, how do I want my header to look like, right? Do I want to have the search bar covering here, then having maybe a notification icon by the side or a menu icon? It depends on what I want though, right? I could say I want to go that route. I could just mark it. So I'm just trying to show us how to make use of this sketch, right? This is basically how to make use of it. And us going into creating a brand new screen right now is going to take us a while. So I'll just go ahead and use the screen that I created last time. We can translate it to high fidelity design. But the purpose of this is just to show us how to use this. You can just pick, and after picking that, you now draw a special screen, right? Draw another screen, putting in all those what do you call it? Putting in all those sections that you've actually ideated on, right? Those sections that you want to have that you've marked from all these screens, and then put them into one screen. Right? When you do that, now you have a screen that you want to use. However, not a one-way street again. You can iterate on it and improve from there. But you've ideated and now you have a screen that you can go with. So I think that's that. Okay, I know I took a while to actually explain that, but yeah, I think it's worth it though. Yes, you can submit your assignments, Christian. You can submit your assignments. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and continue, right? If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'll respond when I see it, of course. Okay. Okay. So we are looking at the screen we designed last time. So I'm not saying that this is the best route to go, right? On your well, so this is the screen we actually designed last time, right? From our our wireframing class. Right? So basically, what I want to do right now is to actually convert this screen to a high fidelity design, right? I want to convert the screen to a high fidelity design. So what I'm going to do is, let me just take out this. Okay, sorry guys, um I think I missed something. I don't know if I should talk to us about responsive design first or okay, let's just go over this, right? Let's just go over this. We'll talk about responsive designs before we actually end the class, right? Okay. So we're trying to, create our own design system, right? We want to create a design system that we could actually work with, right? So converting this to a high fidelity design means that we are going to be having our text, we're going to be having our colors, we're going to be having our fonts and all, right? So basically, I'm assuming that this is a luxury brand, right? So I'm going to be using black, right? I'm going to be using black for this. I'm assuming that I'm designing for a luxury brand. So I will just go ahead and try to find should I go with a luxury brand or I can just do any brand basically. But however, let me just so as we just discussed, right, we are going to find the I'm going to show you how to actually make use of Google's design system, right, in your own design, your own project, right, to actually create your own design system for your project. So basically, yeah. Um, Give me a second. Let me just find it. Okay, so I'm just going to move. Let me just share my entire screen, so I don't have to waste time switching tabs. Really stressful. Okay, so this is material design, right? This is material design. So this is like the first thing you see, and you have your styles within this place, right? You have your styles. They're not saying you should use their colors, but they're just guiding you on how to, use the color. So you have a link here that will take you to go and read more about design guide and how you can actually, you know, um, work with that. So basically, yeah, we have the typography, right? So I'm going to be using their own typography, and I'm going to, like copy it, right? I'm going to like copy it, and yeah, that's basically how to work with that. So I'm going to create a page, and I'm going to name it design system. So I basically want to use their typography to actually work on my own project, right? I'm just working on a random brand, not luxury or anything. I'm just working on a random e-commerce application. So, and I just want to use their, you know, you can, however, change the font if you want to, right? Or the typeface, I mean, right? You can actually change that, from here. You can choose to use anything you want to use. You can see, you can use anything you want to use, but I'm sticking with Roboto. I am sticking with Roboto. So you have your display large, right? You have your display medium, you have display small, right? So, but what I want to do right now is I want to create style guide, right? Those are one of the things that you have to actually, create as you work on your project, right? So I want to create style guide, right? So I'm creating a design system. Obviously, most times on your mobile app, you might not use fonts this large, right? But this is basically my design system. I could also, have a web, right? And I'm going to use this. So I'll just go here, right? Like I showed us last time, create your style, hit this plus sign. I can call it display, right? Display large, right? And I'll create the style. So any text, anywhere, anytime I write anything, let me say, right? It's already on display large. But however, let me just unlink it. Right, so now it's just showing Roboto regular and stuff like that. So I can just click here and I can see my display large. And when I said that, it can reflect here, right? Also, why it's important that you create your style guide is, for example, you have created this, and along the line you don't want to use in Roboto anymore. Now you want to use a different font altogether. You can easily come here to edit it, right? Just come over down here and change the typeface, right? You can easily come here and change it, or the font, right? You can easily come here and change this font and the typeface, basically the font and the typeface. You can come here and change them. You know, you can change you can change anything you want to change from here, and set it, and it will reflect on anywhere you have this display large font used on your application, as long as you picked it from your style guide, right? So that's that for that. So assuming I want to create all these things, but I wouldn't take that time because it's going to take a while for us to start creating all these things. So I'll just go down to what I want to use right now. So I could possibly start from here. But you should actually create all this, right? But because of time, I'll just go down to excuse me. I'll just go ahead and create a few of them. However, there are also plugins you can actually use, right, to actually achieve this. There is the I think is I've forgotten the name. I actually have that plugin, right? Material design theme or something, right? You can actually you know, use that to work around creating your style guides. So yeah. So basically that's it, right? However, you can actually, if you decide not to go this route of using Google's material design, um, you know, typography and design system, you can actually create your own fonts, right? As long as, yeah, you can actually create your own sorry, not fonts, you can actually create your own font styles, right, based on how you want your design to look and what you want to design, basically. So that's basically how to go about that. So once you have that, you also have other things like elevations. You can pick this and replicate it within your, just save it as a style, and use it within your own projects, right? You can use it within your own projects. You have other things like your components, you have your buttons. Different types of buttons exist here. So you have your field buttons, you have your outline buttons and all, right? You have them here, you have the dark mode and everything available to you. So but I'll just get right to creating what we want to create. And yeah. So my I could actually create different pages, right, for different components that I want to have. Right, I could actually do that, but the issue is that you can see I have limited pages that I am allowed to create. So I'll just make do with what I have. And so I'm just going to draw another frame here, just to make sure that everything is clean and aligned. So I'm going to call it buttons. Right? So I'm going to be creating different states of my buttons. So I'll just pick the text, right? And I'll just write button, right? I've written button, right? So now how do I create a button? So like I said last time, I actually like to use I think I mentioned auto layout last time. So I actually like to use auto layout to actually create my buttons. There are different approaches you can use, but this is how I like to create my buttons, right? So I'll just hit Shift A to add an auto layout, right? And because I'm using Google's design system, I could actually import their own buttons to my own workspace, but I want to teach us how to create a button from scratch, right? So and since I'm using their style, right? I could actually do this. I could come here and inspect their own button and use it for mine. You know, um, I could actually do this. Check the gap between items. I can check the horizontal padding. I can check the vertical padding and use it, right? But I can also do mine, right? But make sure that your button, I think the standard height of your button should be around 48. Just make sure, or 52, something within that range. Just confirm, right? But within 48 and 50, just make sure that your button remains within that range. So just to for best practices, right? But however, you can actually make your buttons bigger than that. But for best practices sake, since you're just starting out, you can actually stick with this till you are able to know when to actually you know do anything you want with your design, right? And make sure and still make it look user friendly, right? And still, yeah, maintain a good user experience. right? So I'll just draw this button here. So I'll make the space between sorry, the horizontal padding to be 24, right? That's between here and here. So and um I'll make the gap between items to be somewhere around 10 and 8 though. Let me say 10 because I'm using Goose Design, but you could actually do 8 if you want to. It all depends. So I could actually make this to be 10 or 12. All depends on what you want to do, right? So, and then I could add a color to this, right? But I haven't created my color styles yet. But I think that's something I need to do right now so that I can be able to use my color on my buttons. Right. I think this is too large for this button. So I just have to resize that. I think it's a bit too large. So I'll just create my color styles. Are you guys still following? Hope it's not boring. Guys, are you still with me? I hope the class is not boring though. Are you still with me? Please, if you are, I can confirm in the comments. Okay, someone said something about link to submit assignments. Actually, actually think there is like there's a link to the Google Classroom. So from there you should be able to submit your assignments. Um if you were in our last Q&A session, actually showed us how to submit your assignment. So from your Google Classroom, you should be able to easily submit your assignments. So from yeah, so for the colors, right? Um, this is basically how I like to work on my colors, right? Say I want my primary color to be white, which is color that takes up most of the space, right, in my design, which is white, right? I would actually the hex code will be 55F. Sorry, I say 5FFFF, whatever F continuous. So because I want this white to stand out from the background, I'll just add a stroke to it, right? Or I can just add an elevation to it so that it stands out from the background, right? So and I'll create it as my color style. I can call it white, or I can call it background color. I can call it anything that would help me to remember it, right? So I can create that as a style. And then I want okay, so which color will I use now? I could say I want should I go for blue? Should I go with orange? Should I go with okay, let me just say my accent color would be this, right? So just maintaining the 60-30 10 rule, right? So this is my accent, sorry, this is my accent color. This is my primary color, which is about 30%. And I have my secondary color, which is the colors that I'll just use, maybe in small places, right? So I'll just use a shade of this orange color. I'll just use a shade of this orange color. So let me just reduce should I reduce the opacity? No. I'll just use a shade of this orange color. maybe I can go with this, right? So this will be the colors that I'll be using, right? So I'll just call this um sorry, not that. So and I'll be using it for my button, right, as well. So I can just call it uh primary slash button, right? I'll create it. Then I will add this one as my then I'll add this one as my color, as my secondary color, right? So now that I have this like this, okay, I can say I have my colors. Your colors could be more than this, depending on what you have chosen to be chosen to use, right? So now that I have this, I can say, okay, let me complete my button, right? Then I've added my auto layout, right? I've created my button. Now what's lacking is the colors. So um first of all, add a fill to it, right? You can see currently that my button doesn't have a fill. So even if I change the color, it's basically the button that will change color. And that's not what I want. So I'll just add a fill to it, right? Now the fill that has been added is white, which is the background. What I mean, the background, right? So it was transparent before, but now I have a background, an actual background, right? So what I'll do is I would actually, pick this. Nope, that's not what I meant. Okay, so let me use this. Okay, now I want to confirm if um now I don't know what color I should use for this button, right? So I'll just go and use our web aim tool to actually know the if my button has good contrast. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just excuse me, I'll copy this, right? I want to know if I should use a black button, a black text within this button or a white text, right? So I want to know the one that has better contrast between the two. So I'll just, this is already white. I'll just get this orange color. Just click here, then copy the color code, the hex code, right? I'll just go back to our web aim. This is the foreground, which is the background. Sorry, the not the background, which is my text, right? And this is my background. So I'll just paste this here, and the foreground is, let me see. It failed the test, right? So I can't use white inside now, but let me check if I can use black. You see, it passed the test, right? It's passed, like it's excellent. So what the color I'm going to be using inside you can see how it looks here. The color I'm going to be using inside my button is black. You can see how we've applied everything we've learned so far into our project, right? So now I have that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the design. So now I have my button. I've created my button, right? So let me just bring this down to 10. I think 10 looks better. Okay, it's 40. Okay, so we can actually decide to add styles, right, to our button, right? I don't want my button to have sharp edges. Depends on the brand that I'm working for, and the visual, like how I want the product to be perceived, right? So I say, okay, I want to add curves to the button. I could make it 12. It depends, right? I could say 12 is cool for me. I could actually, or not, I could actually bring it down to 8. Let me see how that looks. Okay, this looks good. I like this, but let me try something else, right? This is design, is an iterative process until you find what you're most comfortable with. I think I like this 4 better. So the corner radius, right? The corner radius is actually 4. So I'll go with 4 and we are good on that. So now I have my button. So what if I want to create, now that I've created this button, right? Something very important that I need to do so that I can be able to utilize this button within my application and be able to edit it easily. right, is to make it a component. So I'll just come here and make it a component. Now I've created this as a component. So what does a component help you do? A component helps you to, be able to okay, let me say have a parent element, which is in this case the button, right? Which I can utilize in different which I can utilize in my application. And when I make an edit to this parent component, it reflects on my um other yeah, on every screen where this parent component is actually used. I think that explains it basically. So now that I have this button, I could say this button is going to have variations, maybe on click, right? Oh, I could say let me name this button first of all. Let me name this. This is a primary button, right? So I could say this is my primary button, and I want it to have variations. Maybe on click, it changes to another color, right? I could say um, this is it, right? Right. Okay. I would name the variance to be right click. Okay. Okay. So on click, it change. This will be my button. So I can decide to change the color of this one. So when you click my button, it changes to this. So immediately a user clicks it, it will change to this. For example, right? It could be your hover, it could be anything, right? But this is just me showing you how to create variations of your button, right? Which will be also helpful, yeah, in your prototypes and all. So yeah, that's that for that, right? This is I have my button now, okay, right? I could also design. It's not I could. I should also design other buttons, right? That I could that I would call. Uh, Let me detach the instance, right? I've detached it, so it's no longer attached to this this other components, right? I could call this. I could decide to say, okay, I want this button to be um my disabled button, because you should also have that, right? So what would a button look like if it's disabled within your application, right? So what would it look like? This is it. This is what it will look like. I could say this is what it will look like, or I could decide to say, okay, I want it to be gray, right? Let me create a gray style. So I want disabled buttons to look like this. Maybe I could say I want them to look like this, right? Then I could name that to be disabled button. So I think that's right. So once you have this, okay, you can say that your buttons would be basically be more than this, right? You have your outline buttons. I wouldn't create all that. Depends on what you're working on. But you have your outline buttons. You will have you know your text buttons that are only basically just text. you know you would have different types of buttons right here. So once you do that, you just create them. Think about different states that you're going to have. It could be disabled, it could be your active state. You also need to have those buttons available. So for reference, you can come to, like I said earlier, you can come here and check different buttons. So this is elevated buttons, text buttons, outline buttons, field buttons, to give you an insight into um, buttons that you could create for different states within your product. I think that explains. I'm really taking a lot of time to talk about buttons. They are really important things to discuss, right? But I've taken a lot of time to actually discuss it. So now I have that. Okay, I could Now I have my colors. What else do I need to create, right? Before I move to, so I could actually decide to create icon styles, right? I wouldn't be creating everything that is needed within a design system because I have showed us already that it actually takes a lot of time to do that. Right. So, but let me just show us how to have your icon styles, created that you can use within your design because we're actually going to use them now. So I want to have, I'm designing an e-commerce application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, let me get my plugins, right? Because I want to get the icons. So I'm going to be using material symbols, right? I'm going to be using material symbols plugin. It's also from Google, right? So this is my plugin, okay? Now, the excuse me, give me a second, let me take some water. Sorry about that. Okay, so I want to have a cat button, sorry, cat icon. So I'll just search for cat, right? There are different cats here. So I want to have this one, right? I can click on it to have it here. Right now I have it here. Okay. So, but however, there are different styles, right? Look at this is a weight. I can reduce the weight to 100, right? You can see how, let me zoom in. You can see how the outline of this icon is now very thin, right? Because I reduced it to 100. Let me bring it to 500. You can see how heavy it is now, how bold it is, right? You can see 300, what 300 looks like, right? I think I'll just leave it at 300. So with that being said, you can turn on the fill, you can turn it off, right? Let me say I want the fill to be off, okay? So this is when I turn it on, it looks this way, right? When I turn it off, this is what it looks like. So but because I want to have different states of my icons, so I'm going to bring in both I'm going to bring in both outline but outline icon. This is an outline icon, right? I'm also going to bring in the field icon. Okay. So I'll just bring in another icon here. Let me just set on. Okay. And let me bring it in. Okay. So you can either use this, you can see there's also a shopping bag here. You can use it for your cat, but I've chosen this regular cat everybody knows to be my cat icon. So now I have that. I could also search for search icon. So let me just quickly do that. Yep, that's the wrong spelling. Right. I have a menu icon. Okay, something I always like my since my button is rounded, right? I also want my icons. These are things you need to keep in mind. I also want my icons to be rounded because I'm using rounded stops, right? So you can see that my menu icon is now rounded. Let me see if this would work. Okay, it worked. You can see this one is now rounded. Let me also change all these ones to rounded. Okay, done that. Done that. Okay. So let me see. So I want to have this. and this. Okay, so let me just say I want to have these guys, right? Oops. Oops. That's not what I intended. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them components, right? So that I can be able to, pick them easily from the assets section, right? And also be able to use them within my design. Okay, so I now have them as components. So one thing you should never forget is to name them. Let me see if this uh I think I think I'm cool with the names they already have, but always name your your assets, your frames, everything. Just make sure that you name them, right? So when you get to assets, I can now see that I have my account, I have all this, I have search. So if I want to use them within my design, all I have to do is just to drag it in, right? Instead of coming here to come and find them, I'll just go to the assets, bring them in. I can search for search, right? And to show this, and I can drag it in from there. So that's basically that. Okay. I think I can now go and translate that design to high fidelity so that we can, quickly round up for the day, right? So after I now have my design systems, I've set up my, my styles and all, right? I can decide to say, okay, it is time to, get to work, right? Let me just duplicate this. Let me just duplicate this. So low-fi also means low fidelity, right? High fidelity, high-fi also means high fidelity. Okay, sorry, this class is taking longer than usual, but I just want us, just this could probably or possibly be the last class for this cohort before you actually start your project. So I actually want to, make sure that we actually grasp what we need to be able to complete our projects, right? Um, but however, we might have a class tomorrow because I also have might have a class tomorrow anytime within next week. I'll communicate that information later within the group so that I can be able to, show us how to create a case study, right? A case study for our portfolio, and also how to, um, create basically there are some things around that. So I'll just go back, get back to the business of now. Okay. So now that I have done that, right? This is my idea of how I think our homepage should look like, right? This is my idea of how I think. So now, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to bring in my icon, right? I'm going to bring in my icon. This is okay. First of all, I want to turn on my grid so that I can see the lines properly. Okay, this is not inside the frame. Now it is. Okay. So you can see here it's 16. So how do you actually see the lines? All you have to do is select the element you want to check the space in between, and um, hold Alt key, you know, check and move your cursor right to the next element you want to check the distance between the both of them. So from I want to check distance between this menu and this one. So I'll just click on the menu, hold Alt key, and hover on the next element. So I want to check the distance between the frame and this element. I'll just hold down. I'll just select the menu icon and hold down Alt key and hover around the frame, right? So I can see everything. So I'll just check if I have any questions and then I'll proceed. Oh, okay. Someone said it's not submitting because it's past the due date. All right, I would see what I can do about that. Okay. I'll leave a comment in our what's that again? The Google Classroom about that. I'll check, see if there's anything I can do right to help that so we can submit your assignment. Although it's past the due date, but okay. So let's proceed. So now that we have our menu icon, assuming that's what I want to have here, right? I can then come here and say, okay, I also want to have my where would be the best place for me to have my cards? Should it be down here or up here? Right. So I want users to be able to see the cards from anywhere they are. And if I keep it up here, it will mean that I would want this, you know, um, this section to be visible from everywhere, right? Which I don't think I want to do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find another icon that is very relevant for this particular page and have it right here. So it could be my notifications, right? But I didn't get an icon for that. I'll quickly just get an icon, right? Excuse me. So sometimes, even while you are designing, you might notice that you don't have all your icons right within your design system. It's okay to keep bringing them in, right? Just keep bringing them in. Even when you use the why is it not loading? Even when you use the icons available on material, material design, right? Sometimes you see that the icons you need are not available within that place. So all you have to do is just to keep, bringing them in as you progress, right? So I'll just notification. What am I searching for? Or I can just call it bell, so it's easier to find. So I can have different states available to use, right? So like I said, I also like the names. This is notifications, right? You can see the name here, notifications on red. Okay, so I think I like the naming system available here. And something I didn't mention because I was in a hurry I think I should slow down a bit, so I won't keep skipping things. So I didn't name this page, right? So I'll name this page wireframe, right? And I have a different phrase for my high fidelity because this is because I want to make sure that my Figma file is very organized because it can get a bit messy, assuming you have so many screens you're working on, right? It can get a bit messy. So I'll just copy this my low fidelity and bring it down to my high fidelity page because I want, like I said, I want everything to remain organized and I also want to have access to my low fidelity, right? I just don't want to, convert low fidelity to high fidelity and lose my low fidelity, right? So that's why I want to have it here preserved, okay? And over here, I can have my high fidelity screens, right? So I could actually bring in my bell. You say I want my bell to be here, right? So also using this feature, I can align it in a way that I like. 16, okay, good. This is 28. So also using the 8 point grid system, right? I also want to make sure that the spacing between these elements are within multiples of 8. So I think 8 times 3 should be 24, right? So it's 24. So that means I can do that as 24. I have here to be 8, right? Now, this is supposed to be an image. So I have to make it into an image and it's supposed to be a banner, right? This is a banner right here, okay? So what I'm going to do is that I would actually um, use, like I said, my plugins again, right? I want to get an image so I can design something that looks like a banner. So um, let me go here so I can search for my plugins, right? I want to search for Unsplash, right? So this is Unsplash plugin for images, free stock images. So that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm waiting for it to load. Right. Network is a bit slow. Okay, it has loaded, right? I'll just move it to the side so I can see my design. So I want to have a shoe right there. What type of shoe do I like? I like sneakers. So I'll just find something that makes sense to me. And also considering the orientation of the image. I want something landscape. I think it should be, yeah, landscape. This is taking a while. This is too white, but let me see how it works there. So I can select an image to have it appear here, right? I'm not seeing exactly what I like or what I want to use for this, but but I could probably use what I have now, or let me show us how to mask things, right? So I'll just import another image. Which image do I like? Which should do I like? Guys, let me just pick anything. Let me just pick anything so that we can move ahead. Okay, so the image is here now, right? So I want to use this to demonstrate to us how to actually mask images, and we can use that here as well. So now I clicked on the image to have this one imported into the shape that I have here, right? So that's how this image got inside here, right? So and given that my design style is my design style has curved edges. you know, they have corner radius, right? So I'll just also, carry on with that here. So I'll just have this as, I think, 8 should work. Okay, so I'll just have that as 8 here. Okay, then I can just say get 50%. Just writing anything though. This is not looking how I want it to look. Well, I can change can change this to light, thin, regular. I want it to be regular. And I'm going to reduce the size of it to something smaller, right? Just going to reduce the size to something smaller. Okay, something I didn't create here before is my text color. See, I keep going back and forth. So I'll just go back to my design system. I didn't create my the text, the color I want to use for my text, right? So this could happen a lot in your design. That does not mean that there's anything wrong. You just um okay. So I'll just quickly create a color style for my. Okay, I want to use this as my text button. I don't want to use a pure black color. So I'll just say text. Sorry, high fidelity. So I could actually go this route, text color, and I have that here like this, right? I can have that to look like this, but I don't like the placement of these shoes, right? So assuming that's I don't assuming that I don't like it, right? I would actually, let me start by resizing this. So I'll click K to scale, and I'll scale it down, right? I'll scale it down very, very well, right? So here's what I want to do. So I actually don't like this, okay? So one thing I can do is to mask um, an image over anything that I want to mask it in. So assuming that I don't want to go with this, I can actually decide to say, um, sorry, I need to remove this background first. Do I have remove BG back? This plugin. Sorry. So I'm just trying to remove the background. I think I don't have that plugin set here, so I'll just go to their website. Remove BG. But anyways, that's actually a long process. I have to download the image, change, remove the background. I believe um, we know how to remove background. However, you just come to this site, upload the image, and remove the background, right? So I'll just go back to this. So to actually mask an image, let me say I want to mask this image, right? Um, let's say I want to mask this image into this box, right? So what I could do is just bring the image. I have to make because I want the image to be on top. I want the image to be on top of the mask. I don't know how I'm going to explain this. Okay, so this rectangle, I'm just going to have it here and I'll bring the image on top, right? So that when this thing is masked, the image will remain at the top of everything. So let me just take the dimension of this 343 by 141. So I have this at 343 by 141. So let me just assume that this is what I want. Assuming, right? So I can just bring this here. I will select the both of them and mask, right? When I mask, oh sorry, I can now select the image inside and move it around. I can decide to scale it and make it bigger, right? I can decide to make it bigger. Okay. This is why I wanted to remove the background so that I will not be seeing some things. Right? But however, if I decide to remove the background, if I decide to scale it and make it bigger, right? I can do this. Okay, I can do this as well, so that it's like it gives me that flexibility of sizing the image within the frame as against having unsplash just put it in as expand the image however it wants. This gives me the flexibility to actually you know um place the image how I want it to be within the frame. I just hope that makes sense though. But let's proceed. I think I'm able to show us how to mask image. That's basically the goal of this whole thing, right? Mask an image within anything. Let me try something and see how it looks. I don't like that. Anyways, let's just proceed. Okay, so here we have this, right? This is more like progress stuff. Right? So I'll just change it to this color so that when we are here, we know that we're on the first image, and when we move to the next, it moves with it. So that's that. And um yeah. So this is a container for another image, right? I'll just change it to it. So when you are working on things, right, and you want to be fast and you don't want to think about text, you don't want to think about text or anything. So you can use a plugin called Lorem Ipsum Generator. So Lorem Ipsum is just placeholder text that you can use for your design, right? So let me just search for that Lorem Ipsum, I mean Ipsum generator. Okay, so this is it. This is the plugin. So I can enter the number of sentences I want. I want 6. Okay, so these plugins I've decided not to just work. Let me try another one. Try another one. If I try this one, it doesn't work, we'll just go to the web and get something. Lorem ipsum. I rarely use this, right? But can actually use it to actually fill up text spaces if you're not sure what to write there, you don't have content, right? Okay, so basically this is it. This is Lorraine Ipsum. So I'll just copy some of it and go and use it for my design. So here I'm supposed to have um, written text, right? So I'll just paste that here and edit the text to use my body text style that I created. So I created a body text type, which is body. I'll just search for body. Let me say my body large is 16, right? Which could be also 14. It depends. But for this style guide, I created it to be 14, right? Oh, I didn't add a title because I was trying to hurry up, right? But I'm supposed to have like a title, you know, title text, right? There, which I can use for this section. Okay, so I have this duplicated, right? Because of what I have here. I can actually, let me paste the whole thing again. So I have this like this. I can now change it to body small because that's what I intend to have here, okay? And I'll change it this way, right? Okay. So and I'll have a dot 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 to show that something continues. That's if something continues, Sha. So I can have this like this. Okay. So I'll now have shift A. Why is it still out of the frame? Okay. So I can have this way. So it remains within space. It is 16. This is 12, which is not bad. So the space between the both of them is too much. I can bring it down to 12 or 8. But I'll just try 12 first and see what it looks like. Now I can bring it down to 8. See if it looks nice to me. So if it looks okay, I can now align this together, right? Um, can decide that I want this to look like this, right? And I can add an image here. On splash, on splash. Let me get an image for this container. Okay. Okay, let me just pick this one again. Let me see if it will fit into the container properly. If it doesn't, we'll have to, um, mask it so that it looks balanced the within the container, right? Excuse me. Why is this thing taking forever now? The network is a bit slow. Okay, that's not what I intended. Okay, select that again. Okay. Someone said, Peter, Esther said she's confused. Please, where are you confused? Let me explain. How are you confused? You can, leave a question, or I think you dropped this message a few minutes ago. I couldn't have gone far. Just let me know where you are confused, and I would actually attend to that. So, assuming this is this, right? Okay, I could actually, um, I'm trying to add another image within this, container. Well, okay, I wouldn't wait for that. So let me just keep on doing something else. So I'll just also grab this here and replace this one here, right? Again, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, so I would also add a border radius or corner radius to this, like which I initially made it to be 8, right? And let me pick a different shoe. I saw a nice one earlier. Maybe I could go with this. This looks nice too. Sorry, let's just give it a couple minutes to load up. Um, okay, so we have that here, and we just also have other images included here, right? Once we have those, right, we just change the color of this text. Once we have images included here as well, I think we are halfway, or we're almost done. Sorry for keeping you guys this long on this call. Just want to round up as much as I can. So if you're unable to watch the videos now, you can always come back to it. If you have questions, like I always say, you're free to actually reach out to me, right? Free to reach out to me. Okay, so I have that, right? I can now have my images within here, right? I could say I want this shoe. I could also say here I want this guy with the shoe. Oh god, that's taking forever. That is taking longer than expected. So That's basically how you actually translate your your wireframes to your high fidelity. It's basically implementing your visualized idea and seeing what it looks like, right? And like I always say, it is not a one-way street. You can always come back to your high fidelity and actually make your iterations. That would be actually before you hand off your design to your developer, right? It is not a good idea to actually, design and when you've handed over to the developer, keep making edits. That's not a good practice, actually, right? That's not a good practice. So now that I have these two here, actually I want to add an overlay or write texts that would actually describe these things as categories, right? You can actually do that. But however, I'll just go ahead and add icons here so that we can quickly, round up for today. Most of us have already left the class. Excuse me. Um, okay. Give me a second. Let me quickly get my icons. So I want the user profile. So I can copy, use that to replace this. I want, I'm assuming things here, right? I want this to be beside this. And I could also say I could also say I want, what else would I want down here now? It could be anything though. It could be, let me just assume that I want my search down here. And I could also assume that there is one more thing down here. Could be I don't want to go get another icon, but it could be my favorite, right? I would actually have could be wish list. I mean, sorry, but I will just have this here. Right? I'll just have this here. I don't want to go back to get another icon. So, but in the normal situation, you should have actually thought about your icons and have them ready, right? The icons you actually intend to use for your project, you should actually think about them and have them ready, so you won't have to keep going back and forth, creating, um, getting icons, coming back, going back, and stuff like that. But so let me just name this notification. Right? I wanted this to be a wish list icon, but I'll just go with this for the purpose of this project. I'll just have this here. Sorry about that. And I'll reduce this to my small body, right? My small body text, which is 12. That's what I want to have here. These icons are not even uniform. That's a mistake. Search, right? Then I have cats. Then I have accounts. Okay, so this is what I have. I still have to go get my under what do you call it again? Icon. Sorry. I'll just quickly wish list 300. I'll just say hats. I'll use hats. That's what I used to search for it. Right. So sometimes some keywords might not really pull out what you want. You just have to use um, similar keywords to actually get what you really, really want. Right. Normally I'm supposed to add this wish list icon to my design system, right? To my, yeah, style guide, but because of time, I'm trying to do this really fast, so I can have this here. So, right now I have this created. I have this. Let me space 8 4. I want it to be 8, so everything is uniform, right? Shift A. What was that about? So I'll bring it down to 8. I'll bring it up to 8. Okay, so now I have this, right? I'll just quickly arrange them or align them properly. Align them using the alignment key. So I want the spacing between both of all of them to be uniform. Right. So I can just keep it at 40. Right. I can just keep it at 40. And I have that to be like this. Make the space down to be more than the one up because of, how your phone how your phone looks. Your key, what's that? I think it's the navigation, right? Or people that use Android and basically anything. Right? So the developer will also accommodate that in the development. So I would say the active state, right? Oh, I missed the screen. I missed an icon again. The home icon, right? So people can be able to return to the home page, which is where we are currently. So I'll just quickly bring that in. This is why it is good to actually have everything, at least 90% of what you need available, right? So that you won't have to keep going back and forth like I'm doing right now. Whew. So which icon do I want to use? Okay, I like this one, so I'll use this. And don't forget rounded, that's what we are using, right? And I want to get the active states. So the active state, I want it to be filled, right? So I want the active state to be filled, which is this, right? So I could just have the both of them. Just bring it down here. This is the one I want to, because this is an active state right now. So however, I can just have dev mode. Okay, sorry about that. So paste to replace, right? I have home. Okay, align that. Shift A, and we are good, right? So I can just, my active state should be, I want it to be my bottom color, which is my okay, which is my accent color, right? So this background is still white. I wouldn't want that. I want something, sorry, it's still gray. I want it white, okay? And I want it to have a bit of separation between it and the normal, so I just add. Mm, so I can just still bring this down to 24. Do I like that? Let me still bring it down a bit. Let me see if I like that. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off. So this is what this app is currently looking like, right? Um, this is what it looks like, right? This is our low fidelity, and this is what we've been able to translate to high fidelity. Okay, so we can have this at this, but looking at this, we might look at this section and we are like, I don't really like how this looks, right? You can be like, we don't really like how this looks, and feel free to always, iterate on it. You can decide to um but something I always like to do is that even if I want to iterate, I will always have my original design available, right? In case for some reason I decide to switch back. Sorry, can't couldn't find my mouse and this thing is a bit messy for me. Okay, so I could decide that I'm not sure I like how this looks, right? I could always, iterate on it by, making it look this way instead, right? So just feel free to, go crazy with your designs and um, go crazy with your designs. Uh, like so just try different things to see what looks better for you, right? And what you're trying to achieve. I could decide that even though I have my low fidelity to be like this, I could decide that I now want the high for at the high fidelity level. I didn't like what I saw, right? I could always iterate on this, right? Starting from this, basically. Always starting from the low fidelity, iterate on it, then you move to the high fidelity to, implement what you already iterated on the low fidelity, right? So that's basically it. I think I will end here for today's class. If I'm going to have a class by tomorrow, I'm going to let you all know, and that will be the last class for for the yeah, that's going to be the last class, right? So and yeah, basically that's it, right? So this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. We can always continue to, improve on this, make it better, and yeah. So now let me say the last thing before we actually, close for today, right? So we're talking about prototypes. So assuming we want to prototype this, right? Assuming we want to prototype this application, right? So all you have to do is to switch the prototype mode, right? So when you switch you're going to see different knobs, right? So when you select this, for example, maybe, for example, I want it in such a way that when users click this, it takes them to this particular page. All you have to do is just draw the plus sign, and it will have a knob that connects to the next it has this knob that connects to the next page, right? So you can set your different actions, your animations from here. So if you want on click, right, when users click on this, it changes to this. Or when users drag, or when they hover while pressing, different actions you want users to perform for to trigger this next page. That's where you set that, right? So this is where you set where it's navigating to, right? Okay, yeah. The action that happens, if it's in navigation, if it's changed to, if it's set a variable, conditional, scroll to, it depends on what you want to do, scroll to, and all those things, right? So on click, I want it to navigate to this place. If I want it to scroll to, right, it will scroll to, I think that one is usually used if you want, when you click here, it scrolls to something, an element down here, right? So, but yeah, that's basically it. And this is the page that it is scrolling to, right? If I can change the page that this, or the frame it actually scrolls, sorry, navigates to, I mean navigate, not scroll, right? I could change that, but I think it is where I want it to be. Right, so this is the animation that I want to happen. So what do I want to happen? Do I want it to dissolve in? Do I want to smart animate? Do I want it to move in? Do I want it to move out? Do I want it to push, slide, and slide? So all these things are things that are available here. You can always, check, play around with it, and see what works best for you. So I have dissolve. Let me just set dissolve so we can see that, right? So let me just view this on the prototype mode. I think I'm going to end the class very soon. So this is the last thing we'll talk about for today. So every other information that I have, um, we'll always continue learning, right? And as long as you're within the community, there will always be content for you to actually consume. Okay. So this is what my screen looks like, right? Um, so this is what my screen looks like. Okay, so I can just click here, right? And it changes to the other screen that I had, right? The other screen I linked it to. So how do you know a something is prototyped? So when you click on it, when you click on this frame, you can see that this place gets highlighted because that's the only thing that has been prototyped on this page. Assuming I have these prototypes to link to another page, when I click here, it will also show that color you get. It will also highlight. So I'll just click here. When I click here, it brings me to this particular screen that has this content on it. So that's basically that for that. So I think I've been able to show us how to work around this. So if you have any question, right, if you have any question, like I always say, please feel free to reach out to me, and let me know how I can actually help, right? Let me know how I can help you um get this done. So more information about your assignment will be communicated to you in the community, right? And how you're going to, because I believe we've been informed that you're going to be working in groups, right? So all those information will be communicated to you in the community. So thank you very much for joining today's class. And do you have any questions? Okay, so Immaculate Chidima, I don't understand what you mean by you want a background image. Where do you want the background image? I don't really think I get what you mean though. But you can always have a background image if you. In fact, I don't know where you want to have the background image, but do you mean like you want to have an overlay? I don't get though. So if you can throw more light to that question while I'm still here, but I'll be leaving in the next 1 minute. So I think that that's basically all. So I don't know if I should talk about this responsiveness. Okay, let me just say something about responsive design. So, like I already explained, is basically making your design accessible on other screen sizes, right? So, material design already has created, breakpoints for different screen sizes. Where is it again? I think it's in styles. So there are already available breakpoints within for different screen sizes here that you can always reference. One, and secondly, um, I think I'll just take like a few minutes and just show us that. So let me assume that I want to create a desktop, you know, um, website. So basically, I'll just select here. There's a desktop frame here. I'll just have that, right? So once I have this, okay, um, sorry, not that. Then I can go for tablet, right? I'm basically just showing you quickly. I just want to run through how to create the desktop, sorry, responsive design. So, but however, if you want to learn more about it, right, you can let me know, after this class, after this cohort, I can always create content that you can, consume to actually learn more about anything that you find confusing at all, right? Okay. So I can pick any of this. I can pick this iPhone 11 Pro or something like that. iPad, sorry, Pro 11. So that's that. And then I can get my phone. Sorry, yeah. I can also get the phone, right? iPhone 13 mini. That's what I want to use. So these are different screen sizes. So if I'm assuming I want to create a responsive design, first of all, I'll have to go to my grid. I need to have a layout grid, right? So I already created for mobile. The one you use for your mobile app, you can also use it for your web. So I already have this, right? So what I'm going to do is to create this one. So for this one, it's going to look similar to what we have um for a web, right? But a bit, oops, sorry. So I can have my margin to be say 24. No, not 24, 32, right? This is your margin. Remember, margin separates the content from the rest of the frame, right? So you have your gutter to be 20, and then I have this to be 12. This is your grid for your tablet screen, right? And this is basically your, what do you call it again? your your desktop, right? So I can have this to be like this, right? Then I can add columns. You can always, we can also add rows, right? But the margin, keep it at 120, right? That's the standard, but you can, do what you want to do. But that's after you have, mastered this whole thing so that you can know the range. This is the range you should be at. You can go with 100 though if you choose to, but you can stay safe at 120, right? You can also go beyond that, but 120 should be is safest space for you to be in, right? So I can have this the gutter to be 24. So now I've created my grids for this thing. So I'll just quickly just do something around. Let me just say, shit, what's this? Sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So I can just simply say I want to write text here, right? So I'll just get a Lorem Ipsum text. I don't want to write anything. Or I'll just make a much more detailed video much later, right? But basically for the um just for us to understand what responsive design means, this is basically an illustration. How you have your desktop, you have your iPad, and you have your phone. Basically, that's just it. Creating these different screens. So much later, I'm going to show us, after the class, I'm going to actually show us how to work on this properly, right? So I think that's all for today. Thanks everybody for joining the class. I don't know if there's any question. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can actually add an overlay, right? Okay, sorry, but I don't really use UBA app, but you can add an overlay on your application, right? You can basically do anything on Figma. All you have to do is just to try to do it, seek out information out there, right, on how to do these things, right? There are tons of information on YouTube, and you also using your own imagination, playing around things, right, on things you want to do. For example, you could actually, um, guys, I'm already tired. So, but basically, that's it. You can actually create an overlay, maybe for something like this, for this one. Um, yeah, we could have it like this. I don't know if you can notice the difference between this and this now. This one has an overlay now, right? You can go this route, and basically you have it done. Okay. So that's just simply how to get this done. And yeah, and you can also go this route. You can go this route. Yeah, it's just basically using your imagination. Just use your imagination. Think, well, how do I what exactly am I trying to do, and how best could I actually get it done? Right? You can just use your imagination and try to, right? You can go this route. You already have your overlay. And I think there's also there's a way. Yeah, yeah. So I can select this, right? Let me see. I selected overlay for this. I don't know if you saw when I did that. I said that I wanted that shape to be an overlay, and Figma has already made it an overlay for me. But I could go this route if this is what I want, right? Or I could just basically make my own, stuff the way I want it to be, right? I could add an opacity to it, just play around it, and you would somehow get what you are looking for. This is design, right? Um, so it's basically based on iteration. Once you have an idea of what you want to build, you just go ahead and try to replicate it. So I believe I was able to, show you how to do that. Hey, God, sorry, I didn't know I stopped sharing. I didn't know I stopped sharing. Oh Jesus. Okay, I didn't know I stopped sharing. So this will be the last thing I'll talk about, so I can go and rest. I'm exhausted. I didn't know I stopped sharing. Jeez, sorry. Okay, so you said you wanted to add an overlay. So I use this as an example, right? Okay, let me just duplicate this screen again. I actually use this one as an example. So I said there are so many ways. It's basically about you understanding what you want to do and using your imagination to actually get things done, right? So you have this now. You can actually just add. You can say you want to go this route. You've added overlay, right? Overlay is basically something overlying something, right? You've added this. You can go this way and say you can see overlay here. You can say overlay, right? Let me bring this to 100. You can say you want it to be an overlay. So I brought it to 100. Look at what it looks like. I can be like, nah, this is not it. I can still bring it down to maybe say 50, right? Let me see what it looks like. Okay, I can say, okay, I'm good with it, or maybe I'm not good with it, right? I can always make that adjustment. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, right? You can decide to go that route, or you can decide to just create a different shape, right? Just create a shape on top of the stuff, the image. These are like ideas of you thinking, how do I get this done? Right. And you just go ahead and, just do it. Okay. So you can be like, I want the overlay to be dark. You can select black. You can now reduce the opacity to somewhere around 20, right? And you have your overlay. Overlay is done. There is nothing again that you want to do. Maybe that's when you now start thinking of adding gradients. You can decide to add gradients to your overlay, right? You can decide to add gradients and make it look like this, right? For the down parts to be darker than the upper side, right? So I can increase this to 40 if I want it to be darker. So it's basically about what you want to do, what exactly do you want to achieve? What are you looking to achieve with that, with your design? And you can actually create it. right? What are you looking to achieve with your design? You can actually, create it. I don't like the way this thing looks though. But basically, I believe I made my point, although I don't like the way it looks. So all you have to do is just make your adjustments until you are good with what you're seeing. That's it. I think I've been able to answer your question. Immaculata, I believe I've been able to answer your question. Although I don't know how UBA app looks though. So because I don't really use UBA. Right. Okay, thank you very much everybody. We really spent a lot of time on this call, right? On today's class or in today's class. So thank you very much for staying up to this time, right? Okay, good night. Bye. If you have further questions, just reach out to me through other means.